Do you want to learn how to make this beef stew over mashed potatoes? Let me show you how I make this. Okay, my loves, so I already have my pot heating up right now. It's on low heat for now, just to kind of get the pan a little hot while we mix our little carnita. So this is the meat that we're gonna be using today. This is the beef stew meat. I want to say this is about about 2 pounds. I want to say, I am not 100% sure. So we are going to be grabbing our meat. We are going to be putting our all-purpose flour. We're gonna throw it all in here, just like that. And we're also going to be throwing our little mixture of seasonings. Now we're gonna get our hands nice and dirty. So I already washed my hands, but if you have gloves, I'll suggest for you to use gloves. I don't have any at the moment, so I'm just gonna use my bare hands. I'm okay touching meat, chicken, all of that. I know some people get a little grossed out by it, but I'm totally fine with it. So I'm going to start mixing everything together. So we basically want to incorporate, we want to get all that meat coated with the all-purpose flour and all of those delicious seasonings before we start kind of searing, I guess you can say, into our pot. This is what it should look like once it's all nice and mixed. We're gonna throw on a little bit of oil into the pan. We added the oil. I'm going to crank up the heat to medium heat, and we're gonna let the oil heat up just a little bit before we throw our meat inside the pan. So now that our oil is hot, we're gonna throw in our meat. So our meat has been cooking onto this side for about 2 to 3 minutes. So now we're going to go ahead and flip it over. Gonna let this cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so now that we let the meat cook for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, we are going to remove the meat. We're gonna put everything aside now. Onion, chopped up onions. We're gonna add our chopped bell pepper, and we're just going to saute this for a couple of minutes. Now we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Then we're gonna add about 2 cups, about 1 to 2 cups of beef broth. To be too much. So now we're gonna be adding our tomato paste. We're gonna use about 2 tablespoons of that much. We're gonna mix that very, very well. We're gonna add a little bit of chili flakes. We're gonna use our 2 bay leaves. We're gonna let that simmer for a few seconds. Now we are going to add our meat. We're gonna use 1 tablespoon of the Worcestershire sauce. Mix that. And now we're going to cover this and we're going to let this cook for about 1 hour and 30 minutes. So while we wait for our meat to cook for that 1 hour to 1 hour and a half, we are going to start boiling our water for our mashed potatoes. So I already have my pot. Let's go ahead and fill it up with water. So we have our meat cooking right now. We also have our water. We're gonna let it come up to a boil so that way we add some potatoes for our mashed potatoes. Okay, so our water, it's already boiling. So for the mashed potatoes, of course, you're gonna need some potatoes. These are the ones that I'm going to be using right over here. So I have about 6 potatoes. It really depends on how much mashed potatoes you wanna make. If you wanna make more, then add more potatoes. You're gonna need some butter. You're gonna need some room temperature milk and some salt and butter. I'm gonna start cutting off our potatoes. You can peel them if you want to, if you don't like the skin, but I personally love a chunky with the skin mashed potato. So I'm gonna leave the skin. So I'm gonna chop these ones off and throw them in the water. And I am going to be cutting them in 4s, like so. You want to carefully add them onto your boiling water as you are cutting them. Let the potatoes cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm gonna keep going back and checking on them, and I'll show you how you can tell when your potatoes are softened enough to where you can remove them out of the boiling water. Now let's go ahead and check on our meat. So this is what it's looking like right now. As you can see, it's not as runny as it was earlier. So I am going to add a little bit more of that beef broth. I'm just gonna pour it in there. I'm adding about another half a cup or so and mix it around. My mic was off when I was explaining you guys how you are able to tell if your potatoes are done. Is if you are able to pick up the potato with literally a fork without having to force the fork into your potato, as well as the skin is going to start kind of coming off the potato like this. So what I just did right now is I cut about 3 tablespoons of butter. I added into my bowl. I'm gonna cut more butter. That's about 5 tablespoons of butter so far. And of course, it's going to melt right off from the heat of the potato because they're still hot. I'm going to warm up my milk a little bit just because it's still a little cold. So I'm going to warm it up for about 30 seconds. We're going to pour some milk in there. We're going to smash it one more time, mix it all together. And then we're going to add lots and lots of pepper. How much of pepper you like. I like mine with a lot of pepper. So we're gonna do about this much. We're gonna add some salt. And this is going to be something that you taste as you go. So we're gonna add some of it. We're gonna mix it. Okay, so now that it's mixed, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little try. Salt. Definitely more pepper. Mix it one more time. We're gonna give it another taste. This is so yummy. I think it's perfect. Our mashed potatoes is done, so we're gonna put this aside. Meat has been cooking for about an hour and 40 minutes or so, so now we're gonna get ready to add the carrots. We're gonna mix everything around. We're going to cover this again and we're gonna let it cook for another 30 minutes or so. Another thing that I wanted to mention before I forget is that you want to keep on checking your broth. The meat is going to be soaking up all of those juices, all of that beef broth. So your consistency, it can become a little bit more drier. So you want to keep adding some water or some beef broth, whichever you prefer, into your pot. Just make sure that it doesn't run out of liquid, because all of the meat, it's soaking up all of those juices to become more tender. So that's something that you want to keep an eye on. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up before I forget. So the 20 minutes are now over. We're gonna go ahead and check on our carrots and our meat just to make sure that everything is nice and soft. I also added some foil. I should have done this from the very beginning, but I didn't think of it. But I added some foil just to make the process a little bit faster. So I'm gonna grab a fork and I'm just going to test the meat just to make sure it's not like really hard or anything. The carrots are definitely ready. The meat is nice and tender. Our stew is basically ready. I'm gonna add a little bit of corn. I know it may sound a little bit weird, but I love corn. So I'm just gonna add this to the pot and let it cook for maybe like 5 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and add this on. This is just going to give it a different texture and just a little bit of a different flavor for sure. You don't have to add it if you don't want to. This is totally optional. You can add peas to it. It's up to you on what you want to add, but I personally love corn, so that is why I'm adding to it. I just decided to do it last minute, so I'm gonna add a little bit more water. I'm going to stir it up a little bit more. I'm going to cover it and I'm just gonna let it cook for another 5 minutes or so. We're going to add our fresh parsley. I'm gonna add it directly in here. This is what she looks like. It looks so delicious. Our beef stew is now ready to be served. So I have my plate already with my mashed potatoes. I already heat this up in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes, just because it's been sitting outside already, so it's gonna be a little cold. So I made like a little circle in the middle to put my meat and everything in there. So now let's go ahead and plate this up. We're gonna do now a taste test. So we're gonna grab a little bit of the meat with some of that carrot and some corn. This is the bite. It's gonna be super, super hot. The flavors on this, it's so delicious. That mashed potatoes, oh my God. I really wish you can give this a try, like, and taste it. It's so, so delicious. My mouth is literally watering. Oh my God, this is so delicious. The meat is so tender. The mashed potatoes, it is delicious. Wow, I am so impressed with myself, to be honest. This is so good. Alright, my love, so this is it for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and also leave me in the comments down below, what do you think about this recipe? Is it something that you have tried before? If you end up making this recipe, please let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. If you liked it, if you didn't, what would you do different? I would love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate if you give me a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.